Iverson draws Jordan now.
What does that red Bulls number 23 jersey mean to you?
Juggernaut, giant, colossal. First time I met Mike was on the dance floor.
Iverson draws Jordan now.
We were at war. When I think of basketball, I think of Michael Jordan. One of my biggest accomplishments was just being on the same floor with him. That was special to me. That was a dream come true. I wanted to be the best. For me, he was the blueprint. The first time I ever saw him play, I don't know, had to be 8 years old. I'm still the same guy, 49 years old. If I was to see him today, like, I would still be nervous. I would still not know what to say. I would still stutter. I would still, just like that 8-year-old kid that fell in love with him. He's just different than everybody else, that I've ever seen in my life. And I know it's gonna always be like that.
I'm Nathaniel Butler. I've been an NBA photographer for 40 years. Certain players just have an aura about them. Getting to photograph Michael was always a great privilege. You never knew what he was going to do. Every game, he was going to do something spectacular. And now you flash forward, 30 years later, and these moments are part of NBA history.
I knew I was going to get an opportunity to play against my hero. I was always looking forward, to that day. Big time butterflies, because, he is who he is to me. I didn't say anything to him the whole game. Had no communication. We were just playing.
When you've done something for a long period of time and are able to look back at some of the images over those years, you become somewhat of a historian of the NBA.
I mean, obviously I'm synonymous for the damn practice rant, but other than that, like, that's what people talk about the most. Like, they would do to cross Jordan.
Dennis Page, founder of Slam magazine. Actually, I do remember watching probably the most famous crossover in the history of basketball.
Michael's here, AI was coming, and that crossover move, I still am a little salty about it because it looks better on video. The still frame doesn't do it justice.
Once he got on me, I remember I came off the screen and Phil Jackson hollered his name. When he said Michael, that meant switch. And then he switched out on me, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. And then I backed him up, and the rest is history. This one was, center court in front of everybody. Everybody's into it because we're at my house. It was a treat for them because it was like, okay, now Michael Jordan's on him in his house, and they knew what I was gonna try. If you look at that play and you really pay attention to it, like basketball players do, and real basketball fans, you see that he still almost blocked it. After me doing that move to him, if I do that to anybody else, they're way out of the picture. They don't even get a chance to put a hand up. And on that play, he still missed it by this much.
The crossover was a big deal. Again, you have to remember, no internet at the time, no social media. Again, the magazine comes out every 2 months. By the time that event had happened, it would be too long down the road. We really didn't know the impact of what he would mean to Slam, but that crossover moment, it was just the perfect storm of this cultural intersection, if you will, just all coming together.
We were shooting film, so after the game, we just package our film up. Living in New York, we drive from Philly to New York, drop the film off at a 24-hour lab for the film to be developed and processed, and then we'd take it into the NBA office first thing in the morning. You had to be very patient and just hope that you get these shots.
You have to remember again that Mike is still the GOAT. He was the GOAT then, And now you have this young kid that most of the world probably didn't even know, but it put him on a level and on the stage where he would now become as influential to culture as Mike was to culture.
Once I got to a restaurant afterwards, you know, I saw it all on ESPN and everybody was talking about it and they kept showing it over and over all night. And that's when I realized, you know, what had actually happened, because that's my move. Like I've done that to so many people, you know what I mean? I've done it so many times throughout my career.
There wasn't social media in those days. I think if that happened now, the internet would blow up.
But it was who I did it to that night. I told my friends beforehand, I told my teammates at Georgetown, if I ever got a chance to try it on the greatest player ever, I was going to, you know, put my move to the test. And obviously, I did. It's legendary, and it's been a big deal, you know what I mean? And people will talk about it. A certain highlight will come on ESPN one night, and somebody will see it, and then it's out of their memory, you know, forever, and it's on to the next person that I do it to. But, you know, obviously from 96, 97, people still talking about it in 2024. You know, it had to affect a lot of people.
I'm Bram Wachter. I'm Sotheby's head of modern collectibles. When you deal with game-worn objects that were worn for so long and in so many games, you know, they start to take on a life of their own in objects, in newspapers, in media, in trading cards. And so the reality is these jerseys that are worn so much really take on a special meaning to collectors and really to the whole basketball community. MeiGray, who's perhaps the most reputable game-worn authenticator in the world, has only ever seen 4 jerseys that are not from 1997 and 1998. And this one was worn in an incredible 20 games over that 5-month span.
Hi, I'm Barry Meisel, Chief Operating Officer of MeiGray Group. I direct MeiGray Authenticated, and we're proud to have authenticated and conclusively reported on the 1996 Michael Jordan jersey behind me. Photo matching is an exact science. Think of it like a fingerprint. A jersey is a fingerprint. When we look at a game and we look at photos of Jordan in a game, we are taking pictures of every minute detail of his jersey. It could be a thread. It could be the way the letter J falls on his back. It could be a rip, a tear, a stain. And when we see the same imperfection game after game after game, it helps create a roadmap of the use of Jordan jerseys.
I mean, think about a jersey that was worn in 20 games and through, you know, the 96-97 season where Michael was just at the peak of his celebrity and the peak of his powers, and everyone was there to see him play, walking into Madison Square Garden, you know, playing against Allen Iverson. You know, you are collecting not just one moment, you're collecting a myriad of moments, and you're getting a level of rarity that is far beyond what has ever come up before.
I'm gonna take this one right here with me when I leave.